soccer moms, soccer dads, wine drinkers, and beer drinkers. Welcome to the Middle Age Moments Podcast, where they discuss everyday topics that your basic bitch,
Who are you calling a bitch?
and grumpy ass men, you believe this shit, face daily. Hosted by your favorite imperfect couple, Chad and Erika Jump.
Hello and welcome to the Middle Age Moments Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chad Jump, and I am here with the legendary gangsta of all gangstas, Erika Jump.
Hello.
And today we are bringing you episode 9. And in episode 9, we're going to discuss country living versus city living.
I think there was a show about that. Do you remember the show Green Acres?
Well, I think there was also, Paris Hilton and Lionel Richie's daughter. I can't remember her name.
Nicole Richie.
I think it was pretty much the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for Paris. This is Paris's. She's the one that name dropped what we should do. So here we are. But before we get started, we're one episode away from episode 10, which I would like to do a big bash to get to episode 10, but I'm not going to lie to you. We're not going to do that. But one of the things that's kind of big right now, usually we discuss what we've done the prior week. And obviously there's, I say obviously, you guys don't know, but there's not a whole lot to discuss. There wasn't a whole lot going on. So I did put
It's kind of quiet around the jump house.
I did put my top down yesterday on my
Whoa, this is PG, Chad. PG.
Well, I didn't take my top off. I took my top down. And I did do that yesterday with my new little 2-seater car.
Did you let your hair blow through the wind?
No.
Fling it all around.
No, unfortunately, I don't have enough to do that. But I did put my top down yesterday. So that's the highlight of the week.
Do you think this is real spring or you think it's fake?
We're
ready?
It's still going to be 32, at least 1 or 2 days here in Kansas City this week. Some areas is already spring, but spring break is also happening for schools. And so I think in our area, I talked to the neighbor today and his actually starts next week. So, but yeah, spring break is coming up. Do you have big plans for spring break?
No,
Lies.
I have work.
No, lies. We do have big plans for spring break. You just buttoned them up.
What are we doing? Oh, you mean spring break?
That's our
in
spring
May?
break.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So Eric and I, we just buttoned up our spring break, which is
this is non-spring break.
We're merging spring break and summer together because the likelihood of us being able to take a week-long summer vacation is not very high. So what I decided, so Erica kind of put me on the spot per se, in not so many ways, but Erica and I, we've mentioned this before with the song and Valentine's Day and making it a big deal.
Yeah.
So you always make my birthday a big deal, and we do hockey games and we have
surprises though.
We have surprise parties and this and that. So this year I decided yours is
May Day.
Yours is on May Day, right? So I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to make a big, huge deal. I'm
only turning 46. It's not that big of a deal. I can't get
30 people to show up again, for your birthday. I don't even know if they still like us, but so anyway, so what I decided was, I was like, Erica, I think you've never been to Florida.
I have not. I've been to a lot of places, but not Florida. Isn't that weird?
You've been passing through, but you never got out of the airport.
Passing through. I was in Orlando with all the children.
So we decided that we are going to drive down to Nashville and stay the night, and then drive down to, because Nashville is one of our favorite places, which is where we got married.
Yep.
We see the bridge on all the award shows.
Yep.
And that's usually where they're shooting, is right where we stood.
Yep.
And then we're going to drive down the next day and down to Florida. I think 3 days in Florida is long enough.
Well, I hope so, because that's all I booked our VRBO for.
And then we're going to drive back from Florida, and then little do our neighbors know we're going to wedding crash the wedding. Our little Cajun.
We were invited. We're not crashing, but I think they're really surprised we're coming.
Yeah, it's kind of like the float trip last year.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys want to go to a float trip?
Yeah.
Just trying to be nice.
Yeah.
And then we're like,
yeah, we'll
the
go.
next thing you know, we're there, and then everybody's from St. Louis, and I'm bashing everybody from St. Louis because nothing good comes from.
We're gonna do one of these podcasts from St. Louis sometime.
So anyway, we're going down to Nashville, going down to Florida, and then we're driving back up. It's the first time I've ever taken PTO for an entire week in probably 20 years.
I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be. We'll see.
We're taking the two-seater convertible, which we can only fit duffel bags in the back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all we're taking is swimsuits and thongs.
Whoa. You mean flip-flops.
Flip-flops, sorry.
Putting your top down, taking a thong.
Yeah. So, we're taking the two-seater, which is the epitome of we don't want anybody to ride with us. And we're taking it down to Nashville, and we're taking it down to Florida and bringing it back up through Arkansas. So, that's kind of our big deal. Like we just button that up.
Yeah. And it's fun planning a vacation. I mean, I know you don't really.
It's definitely not fun.
I know you don't really like it.
Do you understand who you are?
Yeah, I'd love to plan a little vacation. And honestly, Chad, the second I get home from something, I start thinking, now, where should I go next? And I like to have.
Oh, we're going to Rolla too to see your.
We are going to Rolla.
So Rolla is
Rolla Mo.
Yeah. We're actually staying with the mayor down there.
Yeah.
And
hopefully he'll take us to the tater patch.
If he's listening to this, which we know he's not, shout out to the mayor in Rolla. But so anyway, we planned this trip. We're gonna go down there. We're basically gonna jump from state to state to state, and I think we're covering 5 or 6 states in 7 days.
That's up to you, GPS, not me.
So
I'd have us in New York.
So that's our spring break / summer vacation.
Yeah.
Because we're probably not going to get a summer vacation due to our heavy workload. But nonetheless, I'm excited. So and the other thing that we're going to do in Nashville, which just recently popped up on us.
Oh yeah.
So the chief, Eric Church, has decided to do a residency.
I really hope we're able to go
at his bar.
Yeah.
For I don't know however many days.
I think it's 12.
Since I've been an Eric Church fan
and a choir member,
and a church choir member, because I'm on the fan page. I pay $40 a month to be on this page.
Oh my god!
So I can get
Don't tell me that.
So I can get first come first served tickets.
I like to think you and him are just friends, and that's why.
I got a pre-sale code, which I'm assuming guarantees me a spot for the residency.
Yeah.
So I get priority for the residency.
Yeah.
And did you know that if you go on the 3rd floor and the second window from the left, my name is on a brick at his new restaurant.
I cannot wait. We'll take pictures by it. It'll be a real family heirloom we're going to hand down.
So my name, not our name, because you weren't a fan club member.
I know. I'm so sorry, Eric Church.
My name is on the 3rd story, second window from the left. And you can see Chad jump in all of his glory in Chief's restaurant in Nashville.
I'm curious to see what these bricks look like. I'm curious to see if it's something digital that we're going to pull up on our phone. I'm just curious. So it'll be interesting. And I'm
talking a big game right now, but I'm with you. Like it could say Chad Hump for all I know.
It might
it might even be wrong.
It might, or it might be just a virtual thing and you hold up your phone and it lights your name up on a brick or something. But I'm excited to see Garth Brooks' new bar too.
Yeah, so Garth Brooks has the Prime thing going on. Yeah. We've watched 1 episode so far.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of Garth Brooks, but I will say watching what goes into making that bar is pretty neat.
Yeah, it is. I think it's cool. And why not? I didn't even realize that was a bar beforehand because it's always just looked like an abandoned building.
I believe it was a piano bar before. But anyway, that's our spring. That's what we've got going on.
Are we going to have time to watch all the weather that's happening outside, Chad?
Well, last night was kind of a big deal. We had in Kansas City, we had a tennis ball size hail. Didn't hit here.
Thank
God.
goodness. But man, did you alert me? You were like first alert all day long.
I made you come home from Jazzercise early because I didn't want you to get stuck in it.
Yeah. Which thank goodness, because we found when my friends at Jazzercise, there was a raccoon in our attic at Jazzercise. And so we had to
Mommy's chase coons off with a broom.
Oh my gosh. So we had to close the building. I didn't close it, but they had no classes there today because the raccoon peeked out of a ceiling tile and down looking at my friend.
Was he like bang bang, grabbed his nuts and then ran off like
No.
Kevin Hart said?
No, I don't. No, I don't know. Maybe I like to think it's a girl that she's coming to Jazzercise and that she just enjoys, like she's trying to shed some winter weight. And like that's what she's there in she can't afford a membership. We like to call her.
So it's a she. You're convinced.
I'm convinced that she's up there protecting her babies, and she's just trying to Jazzercise while her babies are up in the attic as well. However, she's not there after today. I don't know what happened to her. I'm just going to believe that she went to a nice farm to raise her little family.
Okay.
With spring coming.
But I was also let's not bypass the fact that last Saturday I did what I promised I would do.
What was that?
I showed up.
Oh, yes, you did come to Jazzercise.
Make no mistake, I went there with jeans on because I knew your asses were going to put me to work if I went there in anything other than jeans.
Yeah, because what we want you to do is experience the class, not just be like, hey, girls.
Oh, I experienced the class. I got to watch. Take it back now, y'all. One hop this time.
We don't do that.
2 hop this time.
That is not
crisscross.
Happening.
No, I saw it.
No.
But, I did show up in jeans because I didn't want to be put to work. But I just wanted to go. I went out there. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of let down. I mean,
because you were in jeans and you didn't get to work out?
No, nobody wanted an autograph.
Oh, you think you're a celebrity over there?
Well, they are our prime listeners over.
They very much are. Stanley Jazzercise.
And so I was kind of upset. They all wanted to come out and look at the Blue Z, but they didn't want to.
They didn't know. Maybe next time, Chad, you bring pins and T-shirts and autograph some stuff. Maybe you could have autographed our Jazzercise tanks if you would have just had the right marker.
I feel like I should sign something and have it hanging in I'll buy a frame and put it in there.
Okay.
Anyways, right. So
are you going to come back and work out sometime?
This is never going to happen.
I feel like that's a maybe. That was a maybe.
No.
I mean, Chad, with spring coming and summer coming, you gotta get your Jazzercise on.
I don't know if you know this, but I've lost 35 pounds and I'm ready to take my shirt off at any moment.
Whoa!
I'm ready to take my shirt off at any moment. Have you not seen me in Temu clothes?
You look just like the model. Just like the model.
So anyways, now that spring is here, I think we should discuss me grilling because I've grilled quite a bit. I actually grilled 3 times this week.
You did.
And this grilling, I'm grilling a lot of meat right now.
Right. Well, and like our sponsors are from 8088 Farms. And I do know how much you love grilling. And what better way to sponsor a local business and grill up some delicious burgers for your whole family and getting your hamburger patties from 8088 Farms. This week, they have a special at 88 Farms with a brand new product. You know what their brand new product is, Chad?
No, I don't.
1/3 pound ground beef patties. A 3-pack of 5-ounce patties for $9 a pack. That's pretty good, right? And you still can get free shipping with a $50 purchase if you enter the code in FREESHIP24. So like I said, there's no better way to support local farmers than to buy from a local farm. Chad and I personally know the owners, and we are excited to see what's next for them over at 8088 Farms. If you want to check them out and get some free shipping with your $50 purchase, go over to their website, 8088farms.com. And a huge perk is they deliver right to your door.
That's hot. Speaking of that's hot.
That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot. This is hot.
So on today's topics of that's hot, we're kind of going backwards a little bit. We missed this one. We wrote it down that we were going to do it because it was kind of important, but apparently it was not important for us to remember. But here we are bringing it back up because it is important.
Yes, it's very important.
Go ahead. Take it away.
So Drake was here a week and a half ago.
You can call me on my cell phone.
You can. And I would gladly call Drake. because Drake's doing good things for the community, Chad. So Drake recently has given away money at his concerts. He gave away $100,000.
He gives away a lot of money. Have you seen how much he bets on sports?
No, this is for no. Follow me here.
Okay.
So he gave away $100,000 to a woman that attended his concert that had just completed chemotherapy, and called her a true warrior, which is awesome. And then he also a month ago gave away $25,000 to another person that beat cancer. So, which is all very cool. And why I'm talking about the Drake concert, I was kind of an average Drake fan. And so
I have a Drake shirt.
I know your Temu shirt.
My Temu Drake shirt with the marshmallow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he doesn't have a charity, but what he does is fans can go to Drake's concert and they can hold up a sign, hey, I drove all the way here, blah, 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 those type of signs. Well, I have a friend that died over 5 years ago, and she was a single mom. She had a brain aneurysm, and she left behind 2 kids. And her kids were late teens, 19, 20-year-old, 22, 23. And when she died in her sleep. And she left behind a house and these two kids. And the kids were old enough that they decided that they were going to stay in their family house and that they were going to continue to make payments. And we actually ran into these 2 kids at a 311 concert. And what came out of their mouth, but we're here because our mom would have been no place else tonight. And so her son handed Drake a note that said, "Would you please pay off my mom's house? Rest in peace to my mom." That was my friend.
Yeah, I saw the video on social media, but I mean, obviously after you did, because you're way ahead of me on social media. You're like, every time I say something like, "Hey, did you see this on social media?" You're like, "Old news."
Old news.
I'm like, God dang it, man! Like, of course you saw it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was upstairs cooking meat from 8088 Farms, and came downstairs, and you were like, "Oh my god!"
I was crying pretty hard.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
And I was like, "What's happening?" And then you told me, and then
Yeah.
the very first thing I think of, like, outside of how cool that is like, you can call me on my cell phone.
But how cool that he's just of course he's got tons of money, but how much he paid off was over 100,000, over 150,000. And he just handed it to these 2 kids, and these 2 kids that lost their mom, which is sad enough, they now don't have to worry about a house payment. I mean, if they stay in the house, they don't have to worry about it forever.
Yeah, I think it's cool. From Drake's side of it, he gets these letters often, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And then he doesn't verify them before he says he'll take care of them.
Yeah.
And so, for a guy like that to just say, "I got you,"
Yeah.
in the moment, live,
Yeah.
and not even verify it,
Yeah.
that really speaks volumes of him. So, as much as I'm not a Drake fan, and nor will ever be a Drake fan,
Yeah. He's a cool human being, though.
He is a very generous person.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the fact that he actually said my friend's name out loud at the concert. And I thought about, because she was a big concert goer like us, big music lover, and how she's still watching over her kids today.
Yeah.
And he said it in front of that many people, which I think is freaking amazing. So hats off, Drake. That's hot.
Yeah, that is hot. Thank you, Drake. So the next thing, I mean, I don't know we can beat that, but the next thing we have is, I know you watched it because we were in the same room together, and we were like,
and I have the receipt.
Yeah, we watched it, and it was, I think it left a lot of questions unanswered for me personally, but the Love is Blind reunion show on Netflix.
So I'm really proud of Nick Lachey. Nick Lachey stepped up.
He was like the Maury Povich, Montel Williams.
Yes.
Like, for once, he decided to ask questions.
Yes. Like, somebody gave him some sort of training from last season. He and Vanessa got so bashed because they were asking about, when are you having a baby? When are you having a baby? That they were real interviewers.
Yeah, they did a good job of actually, like, asking questions. They dug deep. I felt like they did everything but the baby's not yours.
Yes.
But the thing that I didn't really like about the reunion show was like, who gives a damn about the old cast? Like, yeah, they had a baby. She looks bigger than she did, which her lips look bigger than
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so I really didn't care about the previous cast as much, like
So I think they really did it because,
to fill time.
well, that, and also because Chelsea, the girl in the pink suit that had the long blonde ponytail,
Yeah,
that
she works for him.
She works for him.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably part of her like branding, hey, now I'm part of the franchise, and it was probably her idea. However, you could tell when they made the old cast ask questions, that was totally scripted. Totally scripted, because they were holding the questions like reading like you'd read a book in school.
Yeah, but how about Jeremy and what was the other ogre dude that was gonna
Trevor.
leave? Trevor's my guy. Like,
Trevor didn't want to be there. They were like, "We will kill you if you don't show up."
He's my guy. Like, he did dirt. He didn't know how to answer to dirt.
No.
So, you know, like, he was like not Snuffleupagus. What was the cat that was on Exit Stage Left? What was that cat from the comic?
I do not know.
Anyway, I don't remember the damn cat's name. But anyway, he wanted to leave really bad.
Yeah, and he was, and I know you were like,
I felt
why?
like he thought that Megan Fox was going to take him back on the reunion show.
Chelsea.
Yeah, well, okay. Well,
Yeah,
Chelsea.
but like, first off, he showed up in like Cole's clothes.
Yeah, looked like Forrest Gump.
And everyone else showed up and they were dressed like prom. Like Sarah Ann, like she was dressed like prom. And the glitter, holy moly, I think she just like rolled around in it in the backstage.
I've been to Bazookas a few times here locally, and I've came home with about the same amount of glitter that she's had.
We've been together.
Now we've been together. But, you know, the other thing that for forever, I've been thinking like about Jimmy. Like, Jimmy, he reminded me of something the entire season. I couldn't figure out what it was. And today I figured out what it was.
Dash from The Incredibles?
No, he looked like one of the monsters from one of the monster movies.
From Monsters, Inc.?
No, it wasn't Monsters, Inc. It was another Monsters movie.
Oh. Because he has the flat face, kind of?
Yeah, it was weird. But,
so
yeah.
why didn't they
I feel like they didn't answer any of the dirt. Like,
no, they didn't, except for they came at
and
Sarah
they let the
Ann
Megan Fox thing just go away.
They didn't. You know, probably though, because Vanessa and Nick are not that big of a celebrity, and they were probably like, they didn't know what kind of backlash they would get for bringing her up too much, you know?
Yeah, I was really disappointed in the reunion. I was all like stoked because I was like, ooh, there's gonna be some dirt.
And it was an hour and a half.
And like I couldn't drink enough whiskey drinks to get through it. It was so boring.
It wasn't boring. It was just like they left it. I think they left it open so they can do another reunion show. Like, you know how they did that one year and they had like 3 reunion shows. I think they left it open to do another reunion.
And
show.
so, like after the reunion was about to end or close to the end, I came up with this brilliant idea.
Oh yes,
and if
we create our own reality shows.
If Nick Lachey is listening, and I'm pretty sure that he is.
Probably, he knows Paris Hilton was
that
here.
He should at least acknowledge what I'm about to say.
Oh, okay.
I think that Love Is Blind should do an All Stars and bring back all the rejects, because there's more rejects than there are married people. And put them all back in a pod and have them redate without saying who their names are. Like they have to say different names.
So do they have the voices?
So like Jimmy has to be James.
So do the voices have like the, when they try to disguise somebody's voice on a crime show?
No, they don't do the
robot voice,
taken voice.
Yeah,
no.
But they're gonna know their voices. Like if you heard my voice on the other side of the wall, you would know it was me.
Yeah, maybe you're onto something. But I think they should do an All Stars and bring everybody back, and then let them redate. And when they get to that point where they sit in the drop down, and when they raise it up and see each other for the first time, they're like, "Oh shit, it's Jimmy." I think it would be funnier.
Dang it.
I think it would be even funnier. I would enjoy the show more, like seeing Jess and Jimmy rekindle again, not knowing that it was the other person.
It's all about you.
So
what we want to see on TV.
I think it would be, or taking people from other shows that were rejects.
Oh, okay. Maybe they don't know their voices.
Yeah, then maybe I think that's how they should go.
All right.
I'm on board with that. I think that's what they should do. Like take all the Big Brothers and Love Island losers and bring them in there. And do it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be funny.
Okay.
So the next thing we have with Paris's That's Hot, which is kind of insulting to me, to be honest with you. The New Heights podcast wins the best podcast of the year from iHeartRadio.
They beat us? I mean, I've already got a dress. I already had a dress picked out. How did they beat us?
Make no mistake. We started late.
Yeah.
They had a year above us.
Yeah.
But
I feel like maybe Jason and Travis are bigger than us just a little bit.
I don't think so. I think we've talked about Taylor enough to get the Swifties.
Probably.
And I know we talked about them more than they did.
Oh, maybe.
So either they have more meatheads voting for them because we have the Swifties. I got a feeling. But anyways,
we need more Swifties.
Congratulations to those guys. There's other big news with Travis Kelce. He is opening up a steakhouse with Patrick Mahomes.
I
here
saw
in Kansas
that
City,
this morning.
1587 Prime.
Never forget that. Nobody will forget that steakhouse's name, no matter what.
No, a lot of athletes open up car dealerships and restaurants, and usually they don't ever make it. But
oh boy,
hopefully these guys get it right. And then the last thing we have in the That's Hot topic, which is kind of new news, is the House votes to ban TikTok. And when I say ban, they came out and publicly said, look, we're not trying to ban TikTok in the United States, but what we're trying to do is force the company, which is from Massachusetts, and does all their work from China, we want them to sell it to a United States company and not be a China company.
So what they're trying to say is they want local jobs.
They want somebody from the United States to own TikTok.
Oh.
Instead of a China company.
How can they even do that?
Well, because they feel like, obviously we've never went to China, but TikTok is different in China than it is here. Like it's more informative over in China, and here we have a bunch of dumbasses like posting Applebee's on a steak night and a bunch of dumb dances. But in TikTok is actually informative in China.
Really?
Yeah. So what they're doing is, according to the government, which some people would say, very smart people would say that it's just the government trying to suppress free speech.
Oh.
Which could be true too. I don't know. I'm not here to tell you either way.
Yeah.
But what I am telling you is the government saying, and it's about to go to the Senate to pass, and Joe Biden has already said that if it gets past the House and the Senate, that he will sign off on banning TikTok.
I feel like it's a lot to do over. I don't know. I don't feel like TikTok.
Well, just imagine I
don't know.
Imagine social media is a big deal. Like
it is.
And it sucks that it's so big because you and I were just talking the other day. We were talking about, it's fake news.
Yeah.
Well, why? Because it's on my timeline and not yours.
Yeah. It's not a credible source. It's hard to tell what's credible and what's not.
Yeah. And that's what the government's trying to say.
Oh.
And so,
Sheesh.
So if it's credible or not, you can't, there's no way to ever suppress this moving forward. It's just impossible.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
So, they're trying to ban TikTok. It's going to go to the Senate floor. It's probably going to pass. And then hopefully, whomever owns it from China sells it to the U.S. and then everybody gets to continue to use it. But if for whatever reason China gives them the middle finger, there's going to be a lot of pissed off influencers.
Yeah, because a lot. Well, there's a new song that's out, and a lot of the singers are making it because of TikTok. Like they're not, the typical way that somebody discovers them or whatever. They're just getting lots of followers on TikTok, and so yeah. I don't know.
I'm not a TikToker. I never caved in. I mean, I've caved into a lot of things. I caved into Temu. I've caved into Facebook. I never caved into Snapchat, not one time.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter.
Twitter,
Yeah.
I mean, I try, but I can't keep up.
Yeah, I can't either.
I just try to be funny on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I fail miserably.
Yeah, you just want to get retweeted.
Yeah, nobody's doing that.
Nobody.
But I've never been a TikToker. I see commercials all the time about how they made $30,000 for their grandpa to get a wheelchair on TikTok, and I'm like, God, man, how do I do that? Like,
yeah, well, you got to learn some dance. You got to come to Jazzercise and 5, 6, 7, 8. You got to start practicing some dances,
I guess,
because that's how people get noticed. And if you said fake Jason Kelsey on your TikTok and you started dancing around with your beard and your Jason Kelsey jersey, you'd probably get a bunch of followers too.
The beard's going away.
Because it's summertime.
Summertime. So anyways, that is That's Hot Topic. We don't claim to know everything. We just know what we know. So if any of that
is fake news, could be real news.
If any of that is fake news, you can fact check me. I don't care. You can ask the new Vice President of the United States, Aaron Rodgers, because he's running with JFK as a vice president apparently too.
It's weird.
So anyway, That's Hot, and that was brought to you by 8088 Farms. Visit 8088farms.com for all your meat and have it delivered straight to your door. So the next thing we have is the topics.
Okay.
And this is where I say we're ahead of schedule.
We are not today.
And we're going to start with the main topic.
Okay.
And hope that we get to the second topic.
All right.
Which means we're going to get to the second topic and we just may run over.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the differences between country living and city living. And what I mean by that, and this is not scripted, this is totally off the cuff, at least on my end, personal experiences from between the two.
Okay.
And you look really prepared, so I'm going to let you go first.
Well, you send me a couple of days in advance, so I get to think about it. I don't get to share my notes, but I get to think about it. So obviously right now we live in town. So when I was an 8th grader, I moved from the heart of the Wyandotte County, and I moved to the country. And so I feel like half my life was spent in Wyandotte County and the other half was spent in Lewisburg, right? Moving to Lewisburg, let me tell you, back then, you're talking early 90s, late 80s, things were long distance. Do you remember calling long distance to people, Chad? Like dialing and having a long distance call? Do you remember that?
I remember that if I dialed from my phone line, it was long distance from Lewisburg to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Which was 3 miles.
Yeah. And so my parents moved me down there, and they gave me an allowance every month of how many long distance phone calls I could make, minutes. So I'd always call my friends after 5.
So you weren't calling Casey Kasem?
No, gosh, no, dedication? Absolutely not. And also, I'm going to tell you, I had to write letters and mail them to my friends. And then I had to wait for my friends that couldn't long distance call to write me a letter and mail it back to me. Do you know how much time passes in a teenager's life when you're writing a letter, mailing it to Kansas City, 40 miles away, 40, and then you're waiting for a letter to come back a whole month, Chad, a whole month.
No, I can't imagine that because, that during those times that you're discussing, we had AOL chat. Yeah, you could have AOL chatted. Yeah, you didn't have internet.
No.
Oh, you were poor, weren't you?
No, I wasn't poor, but my parents didn't. My parents still don't have the internet. They use their phones as hotspots. But I had to wait for people to write me.
And we had AOL chat when I was in high school.
Highlight of in moving to a small town moving from a huge school, I was going to graduate with 600, and then I moved down to Lewisburg and I graduated with 70. Everybody's freaking related. No. Everybody. How are you related? How is your mother the school principal? How did that happen?
I was in the same boat. So
yeah,
I went to a city school from, I bounced around, all the way up to 4th grade. And then from 4th grade, I went to a city school. I was the minority,
Yeah.
and I used to
Because
go
you
to.
look like Jason Kelsey then.
No, I
Oh.
look like Screech.
Oh, that why you are the minority.
But I was Screech with Air Jordans. And so I used to run home from school all the time.
Because you had shoes that made you run fast.
Well, thank God they did make me run fast because I had to fight every day to keep them on my feet.
Oh.
But so then my mom decided that it was in my best interest to move to a country school.
Yeah.
And so which I did. Well, come to find out, I was related to like half the school.
Yeah.
And I graduated in a class of 30 something.
Wow.
And then it made dating really hard.
I bet.
So like I went to prom with the same girl twice because I knew she wasn't related to me.
That's good. That's good.
So but the country living to me, outside of high school, I mean, country living in high school was great. Like, because as an adult, I didn't give a shit if anybody knew what I was doing. Because when you get older, everybody knows, or they think they know what's going on behind your walls at your house.
Because of whose car is parked in your driveway.
No, it's not even that. Like, you can be in an argument with your significant other and somehow the other people know about it before you even argue.
Yeah.
And so that was that. And then there was things like there was hidden things that nobody knew about, but they acted like they knew about them and they gave their spin on what was actually happening.
Oh,
And
that's called small town gossip.
yeah, which like I said, that was, and it's like that today. Like, the other thing that I learned was since I was related to a lot of the school, and I still am to this day, even the current people, that you have a bunch of people that bring in other family members. Like, one's on the board, the other one's a football coach, the other one's a baseball coach, the other one's a school teacher, one other. Next thing you know, you got 5 generations of your family teaching at the same school, and then one's a mayor, and then so it just turns out to be one big thing. And when you go to the city, like, nobody you can do whatever you want. Nobody gives a damn what you're doing.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, like, when you're saying the city, like, people that live in Lee Summit don't say the city. Like, when you live down in the country, people are saying, well, we got to go to the city or we got to go to town.
Yeah, we got to go to town, which means we're going to Walmart.
We're going to Overland Park Walmart.
We're going to Walmart or we're going to Orchland's. One of the two.
You can't forget about Sam's Club and Costco.
Yeah, and Casey's.
But people don't say that in Lee Summit. Like, if, and I remember moving to Overland Park and I was like, oh, well, the city. They're like, my friends at work were like, what city? And I was like, oh, I didn't. What I meant is like, we are in the city.
Yeah, and I'm not bashing small town living because I like small town living.
Same.
It's good to raise a child in.
My kids went through their whole years in Lewisburg.
My son moved up from Louisiana and he wanted to play basketball.
Yeah.
And he tried out as a freshman.
Yeah.
Or sophomore, excuse me.
Yeah.
And the tryouts were 200 kids. Yeah. And he didn't make the team. And he was the first one up, 4:30 in the morning, going to the gym. And he wasn't a bad basketball player. But if he would have been to a school of the size of like 34 graduating classes, he probably not only would have played, he probably would have started.
Oh yeah, for sure. And kids have less opportunities with bigger schools unless you're going to travel. Like a traveling team, that's second nature to most people that live in big cities, because if you're not on a traveling team and traveling year round for a certain sport, you aren't at the top of those 200 people.
But at the same time, when you go to those smaller schools, like my son, I say he probably would have started or would have played. But since I graduated from there, it's probably true. But let's say that he was a new person, didn't know anybody. People that come from those small towns get more opportunities based off of their recognition and their name
Sure.
and who they're related
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I mean, you become, politicians in towns
Yeah.
because of your name, not because
Sure.
you've earned it, just because of who you're related to and
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
So I feel like my son would have played just because, they would have gave him an opportunity. They'd be like, yeah, let's see how much better you are than your no talent ass dad. But I
Yeah.
feel like that would have been the case. But when he came here, he was kind of at a disadvantage, and I didn't even really acknowledge it until after he was going against six. He was going up against six people that had D1 scholarships.
Sure.
And no wonder he didn't make the team.
But the kids, I will say for Lee Summit, like the rec league here is phenomenal. Like they treat those kids at that rec league, they treat it like they're going out and playing for the high school, and they're having fun and they're laughing, and and they're only practicing.
Yeah, I took it
once
a little bit more serious than they did because
boy, Bobby Knight, you sure did.
I took it a little bit more serious than the kids did because the senior year, so we watched my son his sophomore and junior year,
Yeah.
and then the coach decided that he wasn't going to do it this year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll do it. And my son was like, no, none of my friends all love you, Dad, but they'll know that you'll just make us do spreads.
You're gonna bust a clipboard in half and throw a chair across midcourt.
I don't, because they were like doing dumb stuff, like they were treating it like it was
but it's recreational and they're having fun.
Yeah, you know what, rec ball, I don't care, we go to win games.
Oh boy.
So that's a big difference as well. But the other thing that was different for me was like I enjoyed paying off my back porch.
Oh my God.
And I'm not even saying that I don't do that now.
Oh, but sorry, neighbors.
I don't do it. I don't do it near as much.
I'm trying to housebreak him.
But you like paying off your back porch. You like. So another thing that I did, I had 4-wheelers, and we had this thing that we used to do, which I always thought was fun. Was we would play redneck golf. Have you ever heard of redneck golf?
No, I have not.
Or redneck hockey, I guess is what we would
also
call it.
A hard no on that one.
So what we would do is we would take this soccer ball and throw it, and we'd have 4-wheelers, and there'd be 3 of us lined up head to head right in front of each other. Uh-huh. We'd drop the ball in the middle of us, and then we would hit the soccer ball with golf clubs, and there would be a goal on each end. And it was just like hockey. We would slam into our 4-wheelers into each other and try to hit the ball into the hockey goal.
I don't know that
you can't do that in Lee Summit.
Well, I mean, there's golf, and there's no surprise when, I mean, the people that listen to this podcast, if you know me, people know that I'm a cul-de-sac life girl. Like my friends at work that are actually our farmers, the 8088 fellas and lady, they tease me because I told them that I harvested all our crops this year from the backyard, and which was 3 years of corn and overgrown okra.
It was, the okra was so bad. I cooked it and I was like,
well, we didn't know that you're supposed to stop okra from growing at like 2 to 3 inches. We didn't know that. And we just let it grow.
But we had a shitload of watermelons.
And we did have watermelon and a bunch of peaches. But like I joke because I'm like, look at me, the cul-de-sac farmer. But I get poison ivy pretty easily, so I don't really enjoy the outdoors that much. And I'm scared of snakes and raccoons and things like that, and lions, and bears. So, but like I lived in the country when I was younger, in Lewisburg. But like for me, I don't know that I could ever see myself on a farm. I just don't.
Well, I think the bars in those areas are way cooler than the city bars.
You mean because they have a list of people that can't come in there anymore?
No, well, I mean, it's like everybody knows your name. It's like cheers. And then you have the one guy that takes his shirt off every time he goes in there to fight somebody.
I just like to blend.
Even though his debit card never works whenever it comes time to pay.
I just like to blend. I just like to blend in. I don't like to be, no. I like to blend.
And so the other thing that I like about, each side has its moments. Like it has its pros and its cons. So obviously the thing I liked about country living was obviously peeing off the back porch.
Big perk, apparently.
It's not as big as you think, but yes, it's a perk nonetheless. But the other thing is like I didn't have to deal with HOA.
Whoa, Chad.
And so like and community Facebook pages for HOA.
Whose dog is this?
So like every time the Kansas City Chiefs win, somebody's shooting off fireworks, and you immediately get a notification on your phone, and it says, "Did somebody hear those gunshots?"
Were there gunshots in our neighborhood?
No.
Who had the gunshots?
It wasn't a gunshot. It was a damn firework.
Our neighbors are a little crazy about the fireworks.
And then you also have the people that don't cut trees down.
Oh my gosh.
We live with every year. They have trees that go over your fence, and all that. They're not even trees; they're weeds.
Yeah.
That turn into trees.
Right.
That are about to break your fiberglass fence, which happens to be illegal. So we found out
that we were breaking the law.
So the funny thing is, Erika, we were sitting at the neighbor's house one night at a bonfire, and Erika not jokingly, but jokingly said,
I'm running for HOA president.
And little did Erika know, like, you don't run for it, you just put your name in.
But I'm in. And so I'm making signs and T-shirts. Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
She was all about making signs and T-shirts. Little did she know, all she had to do was put her name in the hat. But and then one of the people that was at the bonfire goes, well,
if you're going to run for president,
you should at least acknowledge the fact that you have an illegal fence. And Erika was like, what the F is happening right now?
I was not happy. What just happened here?
So we're the only house in our whole subdivision with the fiberglass fence, because apparently you can only have wooden fences in our subdivision. But good news is we bought it that way, so we're grandfathered in.
That's right. And we're going to keep that fiberglass fence until the day we die.
We're actually going to make it bigger. We're going to make it taller.
We're going to put a cover over it. It's going to
retractable. So you don't have to deal with HOA, which, I enjoyed not dealing with HOA. I mean, but at the same time, like, there's been moments that we would be sitting out of my back porch, and a friend of mine would come over with an AR and with tracer rounds, and we'd shoot hay bales next door. And accidentally catches the hay bales on fire, and of course the neighbor gets mad, rightfully so. But so we did those things as well, and then we rode 4-wheelers and rutted up their yards and things like that. And so I mean,
it's different kind of fun, I guess. Maybe I don't. Those are things to me. Like the 4-wheeler thing is fun. Like I think that would be fun on vacation, but I don't feel like. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not very out. I mean, like when we went camping recently, first time we went camping together was last summer. And when I got up to go to the bathroom, I was hopeful that it was cold enough while I walked to the communal restroom. There's no snakes out here. There's no snakes out here. And then when I got back to the tent, I thought, I can't hear Chad snoring. I hope Chad's alive. What would I do if he died in the woods? So that tells you how outdoorsy I am.
But it's just a big difference. Like when I lived out in the country, like another thing that I did very often, because like I said, I had a 4-wheeler, is I would take my 4-wheeler from my garage and I would ride it down the highway and then like take it off road, and I literally would be in the town over, and I would park it in front of the bar and have a couple beers and then drive home. Can't do that in the city.
Absolutely not. You would get arrested.
Yeah, like it was not uncommon to see a 4-wheeler, my 4-wheeler, in front of a Judon and just like having a couple beers and then going home.
Huh?
Can't drive that here in Lee Summit.
Not in the city. You sure can't.
Yeah, so it's really weird. But so the next thing we have outside of country living and city living, which I feel like we can talk about forever.
Well, it kind of ties into it, though. Seriously.
So the other one that we have is life before navigation and Google Maps. And I can personally speak on this because before I became who I am today, right out of high school, I well, not right out of high school, but not too long out of high school, after I came back from California, I decided I was going to be the cable guy.
Oh my God.
And so I got in the cable guy business. And so I went to work for Time Warner. And this is when Roadrunner was a big deal. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
BB,
Yep.
the internet.
Yeah.
And so I was installing Roadrunner and I was installing Dish television. And I never done it before. I was very new to the deal. But we didn't have navigation in Google Maps back then. Actually, let me back up just a minute. So when I was in high school, I worked at Mazio's Pizza,
Oh,
and I was a pizza guy.
man.
And
You were delivering a lot of things to a lot of houses.
man, I'm like the milkman, but
Oh,
for
boy.
many other things.
Oh,
But
boy.
so anyway, I was delivering pizzas and in Harrisonville, and people would order their pizzas, and it was my job to bring it to them. But we didn't have navigation in Google Maps back then. So
I would have been driving around lost all the time.
So what I didn't realize was, and I learned this later, is on the signs, like where you see whatever the name of the street sign is, there's also a number at the top.
Uh-huh.
It's like 3,400.
Okay.
And so, or whatever the number is.
Okay.
And that's how you would determine that you were on the right street. And so whenever I went to go work in the cable business, I took that same, which my pizzas were always cold when I got there.
I was going to say, because you're learning.
And some of them may have even been eaten.
Okay.
But when I went to go do the cable stuff, the same thing applies. So I would go downtown and I'd be on like 95th and Truce. Well, 95th and Truce might be 3,400 and 1,700, right? Is the street crossing. And that's how you would know that you were in the right area. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
You can still see the numbers to this day.
Huh.
And so that's how I knew that I was in the right area. So it'd be like 97615 Truce. Well, then I'd look at 3,400 and 9,700 and know that I was on the 9,700 block.
Oh.
And that's how I knew that I was in the right spot.
Huh.
And so it took me a long. I mean, I'm pretty good about getting around downtown.
Yeah.
And simply because of my old cable days.
Huh.
But that was how I got around without the Google Maps. And well, then MapQuest came out. Which
Yeah.
Honestly, I pretty much skipped that whole generation of MapQuest.
Yeah.
I went straight from not knowing anything but the street signs
Yeah.
straight to Google Maps. But I will say that now that I work in Chicago on the regular, I have no idea how I would ever get around in Chicago without Google Maps.
Can you think about like driving around and having like a real paper map in your front seat? Like you got to think about that. Like
No,
how
my grandparents used to do it, and they used to bicker over who was right and who was wrong.
Yeah, like how could you you know how simplified I've made things now? When I create an appointment on my calendar, well, we share many calendar invites with each other. And it says,
you share the hotel that we're staying at on the calendar invite, so it's easy for us to link whenever we're ready.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you? And now you don't even have to type in the hotel's name. You just click on the link and it takes you right to the address, right? So I'm a terrible navigator. That's why I do it. And so I have to tell you, I used to travel to Chicago for work a long time ago. And people would joke when I would leave the airport that because I didn't have GPS or anything, I just simply tried to follow the highway signs. And so people would joke and say, if you see Worlds of Fun, turn around because you went the wrong way. Because obviously I lived south, right? And so like driving to Worlds of Fun, that was not towards Lewisburg. And so for me, like in 2009, I got my first Garmin. You remember the screen, you had the suction cup on the window. And I was able to do something that changed my life. I was able to program in my home address. And so I could push a button and no matter where I was in the world, I could find my house. And that's all I cared about was finding my home. And like, Chad, I held on to my 2009 Garmin way past its prime because I was like dependent upon it. And I was like, the Garmin knows how to get me home. And man, did I love that 2009 Garmin.
Yeah, I remember in like 96 or something like that. Me and my buddy Ryan, we got lost in Kansas City. We were going to see a movie at Bannister Mall, which no longer exists anymore. But
rest in peace, Bannister Mall.
yeah, rest in peace, R.I.P. And we got lost, and little did I know, like 435 and I-70 is just one big circle.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we know that now.
That's the only thing that saved me.
Yeah. Kids don't even know. Like, you don't even have to know that now because, like, no, our kids and our grandkids, they're not going to have to know where a place is. What color is your friend's house? I don't know. I just put it in the GPS and it takes me there. That's right. You know, what town do they live in? I don't know. It's 12 minutes from here.
Yeah, and where we live, everything's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're 20 minutes from Pat Mahomes' house. We're 20 minutes from Travis Kelce's house.
Right.
We're 20 minutes from Jazzercise.
Right.
We're 20 minutes from Sprint Center, where the Big 12 tournament is tonight.
Yeah.
We're 20 minutes from everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And so you don't have to have and do you ever play the game to say if like your GPS says you'll be there at 5:32
and you try to beat the time?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you try to be there at 5:31? Ha, showed you.
Yeah, I do it often. I don't do it locally, but like when it says like I'm driving to Louisiana and it's going to take 9 hours and 30 minutes, I'm like, I'll be there in 8 hours. Watch this.
Oh my goodness.
So anyways, well, that's all we have for today's show.
We finished 9 shows, Chad. 9 double digits next week.
Looking forward to episode 10. Hopefully it's better than this one.
Whoa.
But, if not, we can't say that we didn't try.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys listening. Like, subscribe, wherever you share wherever you get your podcast, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Middle Age Moments. Visit middleagemoments.com for previous and future episodes. Until next time.